Hey friends, welcome to another episode of Am I Really Bald? And if you're new to my channel, my name is Leslie Tucker, and this is a journey that I've been thinking about for a while, and I decided just to go for it. I will be cross posting to YouTube and podcast. So if you listen to my podcast, Am I Really Bald? You can find me right now on Spotify and eventually on some other platforms. What you hear here will also be on the podcast because I'm just taping simultaneously. It just makes it easier. And there will be, in the future, interviews and some additional episodes on the podcast. But for right now, as I'm getting this going, it just makes it easier. So before we get into anything else, if you like the content that I am talking about, please click the subscribe button here on YouTube and on my podcast. I would really appreciate that. And if you want to get notifications, hit that bell here on YouTube and watch my previous episodes. Okay, one I introduced myself, and the other one that I talked about how I feel empowered. On today, I want to talk about being okay with going out in public with the head. And so my own experience was like really challenging, as I talked about in previous episodes, where I had to first acknowledge that I was bald, and that's the whole premise of my name. Like, am I really bald? I would just stand in the mirror and go, "Wow, am I really bald?" Like, I'm about to tear up now just talking about, like, am I really bald? And when I realized that yes, I'm really bald, nothing's going to change, I had to figure out how I was going to approach the outside world. I was okay at home being bald. My husband loved it. He loves rubbing my hair. He tells me I have a great head, and I guess that is pretty cool. But I had to be okay. So when I when I started losing my hair, I was still in Philly. I live in Delaware now. And I was still in Philly, and I just had like a shortcut. That was really just a kind of beginning of the hair loss. But once I moved to Delaware 8 months later, it progressed a little bit more. So I had to figure out what I wanted to do. Now, in a sense, it was kind of easy to just shave my head because now I'm in a new state, all new people. I literally, the only person that I knew in Delaware was my husband because we met online, we courted, we got married. I stayed in Philly so that my children could complete the school year because Thomas and I married in November, and I wanted my children to stay in their same schools. So he was the only person I knew here. So starting a new job, it was kind of freeing because no one knew me. And, trying to feel my way around a new state and, how to navigate everywhere and getting used to when I moved here, we moved into an apartment. It was like six of us in a two-bedroom apartment, so we were looking for houses. So I didn't have time to really digest anything. I didn't have time to feel or to think about it. But once we got settled, because we moved here in June, the children and I, and once we got settled in our new home, we moved into a house in August, the same house we live in now. By June, I kind of started feeling it. It it was hard. Um, I didn't have any hair. And this is from a person who had been really struggling anyway with identity in terms of hair. Growing up, black family, hot combs and perms and relaxer, Jerry curl. When I was little, not having control, and then following the same course when I was able to take care of myself and pay my own bills and, make my own hair appointments and things like that. I continued the cycle, and then I added coloring in and things like that. And then I finally found something that helped me, which was dreadlocks. And for 8 years, I had these beautiful dreadlocks. They grew from just a little nub down to my shoulder. And that's when I started going bald. But I love that look. It was natural. It was me. It went with my face. I could put it up. I could leave it down. Very low maintenance. And after 42 years of figuring out my hair, I was losing it. So I wasn't okay for a long time. I wasn't. And my reality is, this is my truth. I tell my children, your story is your story, because I try to be as positive as I can, and I try to think about, like, people who are going through real issues, like people who are losing their hair because they, have cancer and they're going through chemotherapy and radiation and things like that. And I can't dwell too much on that because this is the vessel in which I'm living in. So I have to just stay within my truth, be appreciative of the life I have, but still be real and, acknowledge my feelings. That there are days, even after, you know, really living this thing for 8 years. I started losing my hair 10 years ago, but seeing the effects more 8 years ago. The same year I met my husband, that was the year I shaved my hair off 8 years ago. And even now, I was 42 at that time, I'm 50 now, it's still kind of hard because I I don't know if I want to be glamorous. I'm really, like, really, really natural, like, really no makeup. I try not to. I may put some, chapstick on and maybe some eyeshadow or something, but I'm not really into foundation and things like that unless I'm taking some photos or something. I just really have to figure out how to be okay with myself. So when I go out and I dress up, I just have to do it. And it's not even how other people think about me, it's how I think and feel about myself. And I struggled for years just accepting me anyway because, big lips, big hands. I wear like a size 9 ring. It was like when Thomas and I were looking for rings to find something glamorous or just lovely, this little diamond set in, you know, to find something without having to get it sized. I've been wearing a size 10 since I was 10 years old. That was 40 years ago. Isn't that crazy? Thankfully, they haven't grown. But just kind of getting used to me. People used to call me names because I've always had acne. I have adult acne now, as you can, see. For those who can't see on the podcast, I have adult acne. And so it just took me a long time to figure out who I was. I was a mother for a long time, so I couldn't dwell back then because I was raising children. But as they got older and I had to figure out like who I was, this hair loss thing hit me. So now when I go out, I have to wear a hat in the summertime because my doctor says I shouldn't have a lot of sun exposure on my head. So I do wear like a baseball cap in the summertime. And I think anyone should anyway. Put some, SPF cream on my head and a baseball cap. And in the wintertime, of course, I wear hats. So thankfully I crochet so I can design any hat that I want. So every year I make myself, about 4 or 5 hats and a couple scarves and, accessorize. But I sometimes don't feel cute. But that's in those moments. And then I just have to find like a cute outfit to wear and just go be. This year, for those of you who are new to this channel and my life experience and my life alopecia, I do have a brand called A Reseller's Passion. I'm a full-time reseller. Sorry, and I have an Instagram page and I have a podcast for that, and I have a YouTube channel for that. And the main platform that I sell on is Poshmark, and Poshmark is a very social app. So this year, 2019, was a breakout year for me. It was really an interesting thing where I started just pushing myself to go to like parties and things. Well, one, I built up my social media, so it's kind of like big, and people were knowing, knew who I was. So as I would go to parties, people actually recognized me. And then so that was different. So I had to gear myself to meeting new people and having new experiences. So I've been going to parties, and they call them Posh and Sips, were just like small social events. I went to the biggest event, which is called Posh Fest, and it's I was, a closet consultant, so I had to like consult people on their little business and things like that. And it's just been such an awesome adventure, but I was already a little nervous and to not have the hair. But this is the funny thing. One, because I was already validating myself, I was already growing in who I was. People recognize me because of my head. So this year has really empowered me to do this channel, to speak out on alopecia, to speak out for people who don't feel inclusive. I'm not even just talking about people with bald heads. I'm like anyone, LGBT community, people who are transitioning, people who are not accepted by their family, people who are shy, people who are introverts. Believe it or not, I am an introvert that have been forcing myself to be extroverted so that I can experience new things in life. But to go back to meeting people, especially in the community, the reselling community, people know me because of my head. And that's the cool thing. I go to events, and if I work, because I said I wear a baseball cap, I have my brand, so I wear like my, depending on what day it is or what mood, I'll have a podcast shirt on with a matching hat. And people will say, I think I follow you on Instagram. I think I've heard your podcast. And I pull off the hat and they go, yes, it's you. It's you. And so for me, that brings everything into perspective. So if you are struggling with just taking off the hat, taking off the wig, you know, just, reach out and see if you can find a community, a support group. Give yourself, some self talks. Tape yourself. Even if you don't want to do a YouTube, just tape yourself, talk to yourself, and encourage yourself and play it every time you need some, motivation or inspiration. And I can't speak for you, but I encourage you. I validate you. You're beautiful. You really are. And sometimes it takes another person to tell us that. My husband often tells me that he loves my head. And, we were married just when I was losing my hair. So that was the wow. Like this person, and because I dated guys who would say, oh, so you're going to keep those dreadlocks? And so I think back now, like, wow, I'm so glad I didn't marry that guy, or I didn't get serious with that guy, because what would he have felt with me losing my hair? Not that that would have changed the way I felt about myself, but it would have impacted because it was a relationship, and so anyway, I, if just encourage yourself. You're beautiful. You really are. I know it can be hard, and the struggle isn't just mine. It's my family is hereditary, and my 17-year-old daughter is going through. She actually happens to have like more hair around, so she can put her hair up. But it's each day it's going, and I'm trying to help her be okay. And in the world of social media and everything is like instant, and your friends can film you and talk about you. It's a challenge, and so I can uplift and motivate her as much as I can, but she has to accept it on her own. And same with you. You have to accept it on your own. But I'm here to tell you that it'll be okay. Believe me. And what will happen also, you'll probably get a lot of questions. You'll probably get somebody who has the special cream, the magic potion. You can explain to them your situation. You can tell them you're not interested, or you can just say no, thank you. And but then you'll also encourage someone, because they'll see you and they've been hiding for a long time, and they'll probably come up to you and say, can I ask you a question? You know, is there a reason why you're bald? And you can say whatever you want to say, or you can share your story, and that'll help them. And the thing is, if someone asks you like that, not, oh my gosh, you're bald, but if someone says, could I have a moment of your time? They're trying to figure out if you're going through the same thing they're going through, and it will help them to be okay. And believe me, there's nothing wrong with, wearing weaves and wearing wigs. I'm not against any of that. I just decided this is what works for me. One, I sweat too much, the women in my family, like I said, when I started losing my hair, I didn't know it was hereditary. I didn't know my aunts who are in their 80s were wearing wigs for the last, 30, 40 years because they're bald underneath. I didn't know that. I just known them all my life wearing wigs. And my cousin, who was only 6 years older than me, full frontal bald. I didn't know. That's why she was wearing a wig. And it's okay. It's how I identify. And they actually all look alike, you know, because it's, you know, our family look. But I just decided to just go for it. Now I walk around the house with a crocheted hat on because my head gets chilly. But other than that, it's good. I have mine is more spotty, so I do have to shave because if I don't, the hair will grow all around here and be bald here. So it's like gray. I've got like a bozo look going. So every 3 weeks, if I don't have anywhere to go, like I'm home, I work full time at home, so I don't have to shave my head as much. I just shaved it yesterday, but yeah. So I just want to let you guys, you know, you're my new friends, and I just care about you, and I'm not doing this thing selfishly. I just want to, you know, talk about some things with you, and hopefully you see something in me that resonates within you. So I just want to thank you for just watching. Again, subscribe if you want to hear more. Send me a comment. I would love to hear your story. I respond to all comments. I'll try to leave my link to my podcast and to my other links if you want to reach out to me. I do have a blog and a Facebook page, Am I Really Bald? So if you just Google Am I Really Bald, you'll find me. You'll find me. So reach out to me, especially on Instagram. Send me a DM. I have a lot of motivation, a lot of quotes and different things. And, you know, you can do this. So take care, friend. You're beautiful.